And hello neighbors, today we're gonna do a fried goodie. You know, we need a break once in a while, something, a bit of a finger food for us. Today we're making Korean Gimmari. When you order tteokbokki from a street vendor, oftentimes you can pick from an assortment of fried goods. And Kimmari, this one is probably my favorite. It just soaks up a lot of spicy, the tteokbokki sauce very well. Three ingredients: 양파, which means onion in Korean, 당근, which means carrot in Korean, and then 파, which is green onion. Let's chop up one onion. The onion will go real thin. Do the other half as well. And for our carrot, let's do a pinky length size. I'm gonna cut them at an angle. One more cut will be good. And then we'll get 2 stalks of green onion. Now, we're going to put this on a medium heat. Put some oil in. We're gonna add these two as ingredients to the noodles, but we wanna get rid of as much moisture. That's why we're pan frying it. Move it around, break up the pieces, add some salt, a little bit of black pepper, and we'll stir fry them until they turn slightly translucent. If you take a look, there's no more moisture. That way when we fry it, there's no water coming out of the inside of the Kimmari. Let's get this up to a boil. And then we have our Korean glass noodles, which we typically use to make japchae. It's called dangmyeon. I read through the nutrition label last time. 0 fat, 0 trans fat, 0 cholesterol. So I just grabbed a small handful, maybe the diameter of a quarter. And normally you're supposed to pre-soak this in water, but if you cook it on high heat for about 7 minutes after it comes to a boil, it comes out just the same. So I like to use this method. Let's put 7 minutes on the clock. And you see those confident big boy bubbles? That's the time to put it in. Make sure the ends fall in as well. Time is up. Let's take this. And then we're gonna rinse it under cold water so we can rinse off any extra starch. At the 7-minute dangmyeon noodles, it's cooked through perfectly. It's chewy, it's bouncy. Give it a few bounces, shake off that excess water. Remember, we're gonna fry this. And now we're gonna flavor this. Let's do 1.5 tablespoons of soy sauce. That's another half, good. About 1/2 tablespoon of sugar, and then 1/2 tablespoon of sesame oil. And Kimmari, we usually don't dip into anything, so we wanna make sure these noodles are well seasoned. All right, and then I want you to give it a little taste just to see. Now we're gonna add in our other vegetables and then our green onions. Mix it in, and then the color should get more lighter and lighter because there's more ingredients. And actually, if you go to the street version, they usually don't put in a lot of these vegetables. They only go with the noodles to keep prices down, of course. But since you're making it at home, it's nice to add these onions and carrots and just get a little bit more color in the Kimmari itself. And in essence, we have japchae here, but of course the seasoning is not as good as normal japchae. Get a pair of scissors, and we're gonna cut these noodles as well as the vegetables because we're gonna put them as stuffing. But don't go too crazy and chop everything up like insanely small. And then just take a look, something like that. Now we jump into phase 2. At the Korean Mart, you want to get some kim, which is the seaweed, or aka laver. This one is for making kimbap, so they call it kimbap yong. Yong means for kimbap. These sheets, if you take a look, they haven't been oiled or they haven't been seasoned with salt either. It's just been baked once. So we want to use this kind. Make sure your hands are dry too. It's Achilles heel is water. It's like when you pour salt on snails. Now I've made this in the past before. Some people like to cut this up into squares before and then roll the little ones, but trust me, that's not that easy. I'm sure through editing they make it look very easy. A better way is just to roll up one whole. Just get a good amount of japchae on. And as we roll, it's gonna squish out to the sides. And don't worry if the seaweed gets a little bit mushy. That's because from the moisture from the noodles, but it's inevitable. So what we'll do, roll it up. Nice. Just roll it up like that. It's very simple. If some fall out, don't worry. Get a little bit of water and then run down the edge. And then we'll just finish. Very simple. We'll repeat the process. Get some japchae on there. And bring it back, just like bring it back. Oh no, I went too hard. It's all right. Once we fry it, it'll all look the same. And then dab up the ends. Yes. Now we get each roll, and very carefully, we're going to cut this into thirds. And 2. Same thing back here. Give it a chop. Chop it up. Now again, they look a little bit wrinkly, but this is normal. And then next, we're going to coat them in some 튀김가루. In Korean, that just means frying mix. You can also use tempura mix. Just go to your Asian market and you'll find frying mix. Just use any brand, it's okay. Now a quick tip, just grab the end so the stuff doesn't pop out. Move it here and then sprinkle some on top, right? So the stuff doesn't fall out. Sprinkle over, rotisserie. Sprinkle over, rotisserie. For the wet batter, I'm gonna do about a half a cup of the tempura mix. We're going to do a 1-to-1 ratio. And then use some very cold water. I have some water that I have from the refrigerator. That's cold enough. We'll do 1-to-1 ratio again. You don't have to add everything at once. Get it started. And then now I'm going to add a little bit more. All right. All right. Mix everything up. And if you take a look, it's runny, but slightly creamy, and that's good. We don't want too thick of a batter. And plus we have some starch powder that we covered the boys in. Throw in just a few ice cubes. If you throw in the ice cubes, the batter stays light and airy, which is nice. Just fill a small pot with some, vegetable oil. One of my pet peeves is like using way too much oil. You can see if it's ready by putting in a drop. It's staying at the bottom, no good. It's not ready yet. Drop in some more. All right, and once you see it pop right back up like that, I think we're good to go. We're gonna take one of our boys, give it a nice coating. Make sure to cover the sides, of course. And then, very carefully, I'm gonna add them in. Keep going. Show you separate the pieces. Look how beautiful they are. It has little spiky hair like me right now. All right, and you don't have to cook them until they turn golden brown. Everything is already cooked on the inside, so we just want to get a nice crispy outside. The texture outside, I'm gonna admit, I tasted one, it's amazing. I love the extra little bits for this delicious Kimmari. We have to eat it with some tteokbokki. I made some in the background. We need to get as much sauce as we can. And that, my friends, is Kimmari. With that tteokbokki in the background, it's the ultimate combination. Of course, you can just have this by itself, tastes good as well. I just want to show you the inside. This one came out pretty plump and juicy. Let me show you. You're lucky you see some onions, some carrots, and some greens. Normally at the street vendors, when they sell this for about like $1, they only give you noodles. But with a little bit of that homemade touch, we'll dab it into some of our tteokbokki sauce back here. And then bon appetit. Oh. It's so good. You get like the crispiness of like fried chicken, that texture when you first bite into it, and then you get the chewy noodles on the inside, and then you get a flavor of the seaweed on the outside, and with a little bit of spiciness in the back. This and this may be one of the best food couples I've ever tasted. Amen.